Hello and welcome to The Rest is Football with me, Gary Lineker, and Micah Richards. No Alan Shearer today. He's in Dusseldorf getting ready for England's quarter-final against Switzerland. He's co-commentating. I'm glad he's not here actually, Micah, because...
I'm glad he's not here. What a way to start.
I know. It's terrible, isn't it? But he's got the first two games right in his predictions, and we haven't.
Did you get them both wrong as well?
Yeah.
Was she? Oh my word!
I know.
But we should have got them. Our teams played better on the night.
I'm not sure France did, but we'll come to that. Don't forget, of course, England-Switzerland live on BBC One later today. We're on air at 4:00 UK time. Make sure you join us for that. It's going to be a big afternoon. Could be a very long afternoon and turn into the evening. We shall see. We're going to talk about that match and the rumours of Gareth Southgate changing his formation and what will that mean for the side a little later in the show. But first, we saw two contrasting games, didn't we, last night? Between four genuine powerhouses of international football, although France and Portugal didn't look particularly like powerhouses last night. Spain and France are through to face each other in the semi-final, while the hosts Germany and Portugal crashed out. Let's start with the game in Stuttgart. Germany knocked out by that dramatic late winner. I mean, I was actually on air or about to be when the goal went in. No, we were on air previewing the next game, France against Portugal. And when it went to extra time, and it was obviously a thrilling game, wasn't it? I mean, two sides going toe to toe. And I changed my opening line because I knew no one would be watching at all.
Really? What did you change it to?
I just changed it to, have you pressed the wrong button on your remote? No one would have seen it because everyone would have been watching the other game anyway, which is natural. And then they obviously would have switched off over, I'm sure. It was a cracker though, wasn't it? But I haven't seen the last 20 minutes of extra time. I've seen the goal.
Yeah.
We were on air.
It was a strange game because Spain obviously started really well. You've talked about, and Alan picked them because of their high press. But then Germany sort of got into the game, and that's why I picked Germany to go through because of their control. And then Spain score, Germany equalise, and you're thinking, okay, they've got the momentum now as the game goes on. It goes into extra time. So Nagelsmann made a substitution. So he brings on Muller to go more attacking. And in the extra time, they was on the front foot. There was only one team going to win it. But then he brings off offensive player and brings on a defender. And that sort of course, for the structure of the team, you want them to be more balanced. But I just thought all the momentum was with Germany. As soon as they brought on Anton, the defender, the balance was better. But then it gave the momentum to Spain.
Was it one of those, because I didn't see that kind of extra time, was it one of those where a manager takes chances because they're 1-0 down, they have to get a goal, brings on forwards, Correct. And then suddenly they find themselves level in extra time and going, we're a bit overloaded going forward. One of those.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. But Wirtz was really good again. He didn't actually start the game, so it was Sané who played down that position. But what I liked about Nagelsmann, he was bold. He took Sané off at halftime. Wirtz come on, absolutely changed the game. Musiala's energy in midfield was brilliant as well. And then Füllkrug comes onto the pitch, and so you had Muller, Füllkrug, and Havertz all at the same time. So that's why he brought on a defender, of course. But it just looked like they was ready to win it. And then, Füllkrug hit the post, was so unlucky with opportunity. And then he had a header.
Just wide. I saw that in our little highlights package that we put out after the show.
Yes, header that just went wide. But I think the best team lost.
Do you?
I think the best team.
The first half, I thought Spain were probably the best team. Because I saw it for about probably 70 minutes. Cruz was lucky to stay on the pitch, wasn't he? I mean, he might have changed things if he'd have got the booking that he should have had when he fouled Pedri. I mean, he got a tiny flick on the ball, but that was a very, very clumsy challenge. I mean, Pedri will would have been a loss to Spain. I mean, he started so well and he was all over it, and then I thought Cruz was lucky to stay on the pitch. And because he should have got a yellow card there, because I mean he got a flick on the ball, but it was a bad challenge. He's not that kind of player. It certainly wasn't no intent or anything like that. But Germany were very physical in the first half. But he, then he did get a yellow card eventually, and there was another one on the edge of the box where he got away with it. So I mean, if they had have got to the final or to the semi-final, he would have missed it. But big blow to Spain losing Pedri, I think. And that's probably, one of the reasons perhaps why Germany became the better side in the second half.
I was just looking at a few of the decisions with Toni Kroos before we move on to Pedri. Is obviously he's retiring after this tournament. So do they want the last game to be given a red card to Toni Kroos? So maybe that is just subconsciously thinking, because I agree throughout the game there was probably 3 or 4 times where he should have had a yellow card and he shouldn't have been sent off. And you don't want to see players injured. See Pedri with a big bandage on his leg, look distraught. Yeah. But ultimately, that may have been a difference, because Olmo came on for Pedri and scored the goal. True. Who looked really sharp within the game as well.
Well, Olmo's good.
He's a player.
They've got sharp players. Spain go through, and it's the first time they've ever beaten a host nation in a major tournament. I think they've lost the previous, 7 or 8 or something like that, which is something. So, Alan will be gloating when we see him. He was on the group chat, wasn't he? Constantly.
Yeah, but he's so looking. All Alan has done is thinking. He's not looked at. Well, he's watched the games. I'm not obviously outstanding pundit, as we know. but he's not. He's not looked at any of the stats, how they're going to break them down. He's just saying, okay, Spain look the best going forward. Let's pick Spain. Like, Germany was the way better team yesterday. And when it goes to extra time, you know what? There should have been void, really, because we didn't really talk about extra time and penalties, did we? We talked about 90 minutes, really.
I'd love to concur with you, because obviously I went with you. But, I mean, I think strictly speaking, we talk about who's going to go through. Alan been focusing clearly on the England game, and that's the one he's doing. He's doing the co-commentating. So in his defence, he's probably not looking at that. Or maybe he did. No. He's not here. I'm trying to defend him because he's not here. But why am I defending him? Because he's boasting all night. He was getting on our nerves.
It was annoying me, actually. As soon as the first goal went in,
I saw you bite, and I thought,
eyes. Why is he sending eyes in the group? Leave me alone. Leave me alone. I'm watching the game in peace.
So you know what? He got a little nibble from you.
When was that?
And he got a little nibble after the first game, and then because I could tell, I was working, so I was watching this, and I was thinking, "Oh, Micah, you're biting it," and he loves that, doesn't he? And he's put out a little bit more. Oh, one of us is 2 for 2, and you're going, yeah, but Germany is. You're going Germany and Portugal were the better teams, and I thought, oh, Mikey, he's got you.
Because he knows as well. He knows he was so lucky. But he got it right. That's the most important thing.
I love the way Spain play, though. I mean, it's so it's so positive, isn't it? So on the front foot.
Yeah, I mean, for a fan, for us broadcasters, we want to see a team that's entertaining, don't we?
Yes.
It's better for us. It's better for our analysis. It's better for our mood within the studio. But they were a little bit vulnerable at the back. It worked for them because we've talked about Williams on the left, Yamal, who gets another assist, who's outstanding. Brought him off a little bit too early.
I was surprised at that, actually.
Yeah. I just thought they always had an out when he was on the pitch, and then when they took him off, it was almost like it slowed it down a little bit, and he had to go and build combinations in different places on the pitch. And then you've got Morata. I thought Morata played excellently well again, even though he's a bit frustrating when he comes to the ball and he's diving all the time, or he's overreacting with a foul or whatever it may be. But I just think the runs that he makes, and he makes teams think about where they want to have their line, because he's sharp when he wants to run in behind, you know? And I just thought at times the battle with Rudiger and Tar was very good.
Yeah. Does he score enough goals, Mark?
No, not for his ability. But I don't think he's an actually out-and-out striker. I think he's more of a forward
Yeah.
and a wide forward coming in, making that run from left to right. But he's a captain and he's worked really hard for the team. And I can't really fault him, his energy and his work rate for the team when you know you've got other players around you that can score goals as well.
Carvajal, he's such a good player, but he's got 2 yellows, so he's out of the semi-final.
Yeah,
It'd be a loss.
losing that experience is massive. Just with him, and he scored some important goals as well for Real Madrid, and then he keeps going. You know, when you're watching fullbacks and you're looking at their position and you're thinking, okay, when the winger's got the ball, what am I gonna do? When I'm gonna take a foul? Because there's one when we was watching the game, there was one area of the game where he just needed to take someone out and he just pulled him back.
Well, that's when he got that's
experience. That's the tactics, though, isn't it? Like,
well, it looked like Morata was going to be suspended as well, but the news has broken this morning that TV and the UEFA, they got it wrong because they thought he got booked at the aftermath of the goal, but apparently it wasn't him. Oh. It was someone else. So Morata can play in the semi-final, which is a bonus for Spain, obviously.
Massive bonus.
Yeah,
just the way they want to play.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we know we'll be on the front foot in the semi-final of those two teams because I did France-Portugal last night. I don't know what's happened just one of those things, obviously, in the way the games are divvied up. But I don't think I've had a really good game, not one, in this tournament. Even when the games that I didn't do on the BBC, the ones I've missed were a couple of really good ones. ITV have had lots of good ones. I've been jinxed. Honestly, I've sat there I can't remember the last goal I saw in a game that I'm actually doing. I don't know what's happened, Micah.
Oh, yeah.
It's never happened. I think last tournament we had all the good games, and ITV got a bit unlucky. But this time it's gone the other way around. But maybe that is going to change today because we're recording this on Saturday morning with England, Switzerland. I mean, that's got the makings of another 0-0. Oh dear, honestly, I've had some shockers. Really have.
It's gonna get better.
Yeah.
It's gonna get more entertaining.
Yeah, I hope so. France-Portugal was it's a strange game, isn't it? France played so negatively. I mean, Portugal weren't great, obviously, but it's not easy playing against a team with I suppose they're just saying, we've got a very good defence and we're going to rely on a moment. The moments came in the penalty shootout, of course. But, I mean, France, I don't know. Obviously, they've got issues with Mbappe and he's struggling because he wouldn't have come off for 15 minutes to go of extra time if he wasn't with his nose. I heard from a couple of French journalists that I know that apparently he's really struggling with it. He can't sleep. So... I wouldn't want to play with a broken nose myself. I know if Alan were here, he'd be going, I'd play with a broken nose, broken fingers, broken knuckles, broken legs, broken everything, because he's a hardcore Geordie. But I played with a splinter once. That was really...
A splinter?
It's a joke, Mike. It's a joke. But what did you make of it? Because I was obviously working on it.
I mean, again, from a viewer's point of view, you want to see better football. You want to see attacking football. But France at this moment in time just don't have it in them. They've changed the formation on multiple occasions. They sort of tried to go with a Griezmann in the number 10 and sort of split strikers with Kolo Muani and Mbappe. Mbappe goes to the left. Kolo Muani didn't really hold it up like he should have. Everything was too slow. I thought Camavinga played well.
Camavinga and Tchouameni.
Yeah, we're good. Just sort of protected in front of that back four.
Kante was what Kante always is.
Yeah, but I think with Kante, he's great until he gets to the last third.
Yeah, he had
just
a couple
that
of shots
pass, all
stuff.
that.
A couple of times thinking, that's not his game.
It's not his game.
Not his game, no.
But it does keep the energy in midfield. But we keep saying it. And you asked a question about England, and we'll obviously get onto them a little bit later. can you win a tournament playing? You can. It's not great. It's not pretty. To be honest, it's dreadful to watch.
Portugal 2016 had 6 draws after 90 minutes.
Exactly.
And, then scraped the final 1-0. And they were heroes.
And unfortunately, when you've got, well, fortunately for France, but unfortunately for us, when you've got game changers like Kylian Mbappe or Griezmann or Dembele when he came on, I thought he did really well, who can get you that magic moment. Unfortunately, that's what we're going to see.
Although it didn't on this occasion. And I was surprised because I read the stats out at the end of the game before the penalty shootout that, Portugal had won 4 of their 5. France haven't won one since 1998. They won the last 3. They'd lost their last 3. Mannion had not saved a penalty this season, 7 against him. Whereas Costa, of course, saved a 3 in the previous round, and he did the same thing in the Champions League the season before that last. All the odds were stacked in Portugal's favour, but it just shows you never know. But it's only 1 penalty miss, and there's a couple of inches too far to the left. And I think if you're the only person that misses, that must be so devastating. Felix, tough to get over that one.
It was as well, and it's not like he booted it; it hit the post, didn't it?
Pepe and Ronaldo. Do you think that's the last we've seen of them in international football? I think Pepe certainly, because he broke down after the game, funnily enough, in tears, and he was consoled by Ronaldo this time rather than the other way round. But that suggested to me that was the last hurrah for Pepe. It'd be interesting to see what Ronaldo does. I mean, his movement in the within the 6-yard box, I would say now, is electric still and really sharp. But he's not the old Cristiano. And how can he be at 39? But he's still he's amazing. But he wouldn't surprise me if he carried on.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if he carried on. But the fact that Portugal, when you see Portugal's setup, you had Leao on one side, Bernardo Silva, Bruno Fernandes, all brilliant players. When they got to the box, all they was trying to do is cross to Ronaldo.
Yeah.
It's like all their powers that you see in the Premier League where they'll do 1-2s, to do little Cruyffs, to do through passes and all that sort of stuff. It was non-existent because all they're playing for is Ronaldo.
Yeah. Because he's such a big, imposing figure for them that I think, you can see him throwing his arms up when he doesn't get it and all that kind of stuff.
I just thought in the games last night, it went too far. You can play Ronaldo for 90 minutes or whatever it may be. When you go to extra time, we know he's a machine anyway, but it was crying out for a Jota to come on the picture. Someone who could stretch it a little bit. You could see everyone was getting frustrated. He brings on Conceição, which is fine.
Or Gonzalo Ramos scored a hat-trick in the World Cup, you remember. He came on and Ronaldo. I think the problem is with Ronaldo, you've got to be all in or completely out with him. Because if he's playing, he quite rightly, not necessarily rightly or wrongly, but the players do naturally think they've got to give it to Ronaldo. So as a manager, what do? If you take Ronaldo out, it's going to be like a shit show and a Ferrari and all this kind of stuff. It'll kick off again, a bit like it did in the World Cup. So he persisted with him. I thought he managed him, really well. He kept him on it, particularly after the kind of meltdown that he had after he missed a penalty in the previous game. So yeah, difficult for them. But I thought, at least they played positively and forward, but it never really looked like scoring either side.
No, I just think it was unfair for that moment where you want to make a change. I worked with Roberto Martinez. He knows he would have seen that would have needed something a little bit more creative in that number 9 area, but he's had to think of Ronaldo. But really, he had to put the team first in that moment, in my opinion, and he should have brought on Ramos.
England versus Switzerland today. There are rumours that Gareth Southgate is switching to a back 3, which we assume, we don't know that's actually true, but this is rumours, and mostly during this tournament, the rumours have proved to be correct in terms of individuals and stuff. They've announced that Shaw is fit enough to play, whether that means from the start or at some point in the game. we'll have to wait and see. Looks like a box in midfield, maybe two, like Mainu and Rice, and ahead of them 2 10s in Foden and Bellingham. So what do you make of it? It's a late change. I've been involved in a team in a tournament that's changed tactics.
What do I think of it? I think it could be effective if we apply it in the right way.
What is the right way?
And what I mean by that is your wing backs
High.
have to stay high. I know I sound like a broken record when I'm talking about systems and all that thing, but when you play, I played in back 3, I played in the back 4, and I played in the back 5. And what the Swiss are very good at doing is pinning you right back. So if you have, say the 3 here, you have Konsa, we expect it to be maybe.
Walker on the right.
Walker and Stones. So for argument's sake, if that's Trippier, Trent, or if this is Shaw.
Yeah, one on the right, one on the left.
So what will happen if we go too deep, too early, it now becomes a 5, basically.
That's
the back.
what I'm worried about.
And that is what I'm worried about. So not only that, that's fine, because teams can go deep. But then you said you're playing 2 holders, which will be Mainu and Rice. We're just pretending this is the team at this moment. And then you've got a Bellingham and a Foden. Where is your width within the team? How are you going to get out? The problem with England, we have found, is they've not been able, the midfielders here, so you've got Mainu and you've got Rice and you've got Bellingham and you've got Foden. The way the Swiss set up, because they play the same formation.
Right, exactly.
3-4-3, and they're used to playing the formation.
But they play in a different way because they'll play 3 up. If England play in a box, they won't have 3 up. They'll have only Harry Kane up.
They'll only have Harry Kane up. So in this midfield area, if the box in midfield can't get out, where is the space here? How are we going to get out? So what we're saying is Luke Shaw has to be here, Trippier or Trent Alexander has to be there. That can allow these players, the Swiss player, to push back a little bit. So we have these 3 here have to be brave.
Which 3?
The 3 defenders.
Yeah,
3
just to
defenders.
make it clear.
The 3 defenders, centre backs have to be brave. They've got to say to their wing backs, push on, which will drop Swiss to go with these players, and then we can start getting on the ball.
It'll be a kind of mental battle between the 2 teams in those circumstances. But and you're absolutely right on this. I totally agree with you. I think if they play it correctly, it could really work. But the 2 wing backs, as you quite rightly said, I suspect it might be Trippier and they're talking about Saka on the left, although he might start Shaw maybe. But either way, they have to play almost cheat in a way to stay that high, because you've got to double bluff the other side.
Correct.
Who goes deepest, who's not. Because if we sit, we will get pinned in. And you can do that. You can play 5 at the back and a box of 4 in midfield as a counter-attacking team. But I don't see how you can counter-attack properly with Harry Kane up front. Now, I know he used to do it at Tottenham, you'll say. He used to do it there. But I don't think Harry Kane's, he's not shown that he looks a bit leggy in this tournament. He's moving much. I would say if you're going to play that way and you do end up sitting a bit, you'd be better off with someone like Watkins. Run them ragged for an hour and then bring Harry Kane on when they're tired. Now, he ain't going to do that. We know that. No, and understandably why. But if you're going to play a counter-attacking game, you've got to have people that run behind. And you could get Foden and Bellingham to run past Kane, like Son did, particularly at Tottenham, but they've not shown signs of doing that so far. But you've also got to have those wing-backs bombing on forward. Personally, I think if you've got 3 at the back, you can definitely afford to play Trent Alexander-Arnold, because he's the best crosser of the ball we've got. He's probably in European football. He's also an unbelievably good passer. We all know that his slight weakness can be defensively. But if you've got Kyle Walker on the right side of a 3, you don't need another fullback, really, because he can do both. and he's very suited and he's very accustomed to playing that role.
Correct.
But I worry about the legs up top playing that way because it's even more important than ever that if unless Foden and Bellingham are told to sprint past Kane, more important than ever that Harry stays high and keeps them. Otherwise, I fear the whole game will be played in the back third of England's pitch.
Yeah, totally agree. Really well explained. And just with Switzerland as well, I've watched all their games and I've watched more highlights of them last night. The difference is with Switzerland as well, they rotate. So when we do BBC, I'm going to do an analysis piece on it. They don't stay in the same positions. England have to do jobs and they have to follow runners behind because you'll have a Bisher he can play midfield, but he's playing like as a wing back. But it goes into the number 10 role that leaves space for Vargas, but then also Rodriguez, the left-sided centre-half of the three at the back, he overlaps as well. And you've got Vidma on the other side, or Reader at times going in, and they just box you in. And I don't know if England are ready to deal with the rotation. We're not talking about Switzerland like the Brazil or of the past or great France, but they are organised. They know exactly what they need to do.
They are very similar to the Leverkusen setup.
Correct.
And I understand.
Correct.
I understand that 6 months ago something that they were struggling, and I think Xhaka got involved a little bit. Now this might be Codswallop, but from what I hear, but it makes sense because obviously Xhaka is a key part of that Leverkusen team that only lost one game, and that was the final of the Europa League against Atalanta this season, and he's a key part of that. And he kind of makes them tick as well and makes the whole thing run smoothly. So I think they're tactically very good. England are a team that are changing their tactics. Now, I know that can work in the middle of a tournament. I did it myself in 1990. Well, not myself, but Bobby Robson. We played the opening game against the Republic of Ireland. And we played what we always did back then, really, 4-4-1-1, with Beardsley as the 10. And we become a bit predictable, as that formation often is. And then Bobby Robson called us some of the experienced boys in. I might have talked about this before, but he called in. There was Terry Butcher, Brian Robson, Peter Shilton, and myself. And he said, "I've been thinking. I think we're playing against Holland, as we called them then, rather than Netherlands. And he said, they've got Van Basten, they've got Rijkaard, they've got Gullit, they've got all these, really great. And the way they play, I think, we'd never played this way ever. And no one did in English football either. No one. He said, I want to go to a 3 at the back, but we've got to get our wing backs up high. And he said, it's a way I can get Barnes, I can get Gaza in the middle and all this kind of stuff. And he said, what do you think? And we went, we think it'll work. I think the kind of players we've got at the back. We've got Des Walker, who's one of the best man-on-man markers in history. We've got Mark Wright, who's really comfortable on the ball. We've got Terry Butcher, who's big, strong, quick, but he could also play Terry. So we had we could build out from the back. So we bought into it. I think if we'd have said don't fancy it, he wouldn't have gone with it. But he also said, okay, I'm going to go away now and think. And then he decided that he's going to go with that. If he'd have, because he always used to say, there was a revolt of the players and this and that. The players came in and told him, not true, absolutely categorically not true. He had the conversation which he initiated, Bobby Robson, and we thought this might work for us. And it did. We were transformed. It was 0-0 that game, but we played really well. I think we had a really good goal disallowed, but it would have, I think, might have been John Barnes. And we outplayed them in that game. Gaza spent the whole afternoon taking the piss out of Ruud Gullit, pulling his dreadlocks and all this kind of nonsense. But it was the day he really emerged as a star because it freed him up. So a tactical change can. Intelligent footballers, international footballers, which can adapt to certain circumstances, even though none of us, I don't think, had ever played that way. Yeah, so...
That's amazing. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, but, I mean, different times nowadays, obviously, but... And then we used it on and off throughout the tournament, not every game.
I just think that the lower teams, the lower ranked teams in the tournaments now are just a lot more organised, you know? Because we're looking at this game, and I really believe England can do it 100%.
Well, if you look individual per individual, England against Switzerland, and the players that England will have on the pitch, and the players, with all due respect, there's no comparison, man per man. But it just shows you football's a team game. It's not an individual's game. Individuals might rescue at certain points, like Bellingham did, certainly in the last game. But it's ultimately about how you play, how your approach is, how your physicality is, how you are tactically. And then you rely on those great players to produce. But you've got to give them the circumstances and make them feel comfortable in the system that they buy into and that they understand.
Agreed. I just think, lastly, from me on England, I think we have to make subs earlier within the game. I think Gareth should back himself. If he's got something in his mind, just go with it. Don't be afraid of taking off one of your big stars.
No.
Because if you look at Spain, they took off, their Yamal, I think, was after 60-odd minutes or whatever minute it was. It was early in the game anyway. And he was the biggest threat. Yeah. But he saw something.
Nagelsmann made a change at half time.
Exactly. And I think we were lucky against Slovakia, weren't we, to get that moment. Whereas if he believes in himself, because I believe in what Gareth can bring, but it's almost like he's sort of
cautious.
He's cautious, but he's in two minds whether to do it. Just go with the feeling. The players were all said that the coaching is good. They know what they need to do. It's just about the whole point of us boasting about a 26-man squad was to use the players. It's not about just having subs or this player, because you know what would happen. And lastly, before I finish, is if Palmer was playing and not playing as well, everyone would be saying Saka should be playing on that right-hand side. But you have two equal players at a top level. Use them both.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Get fresh legs.
The game will be open in the second half. So Saka, to a certain degree, it's been more difficult for him because everyone's got their energy in the first 60, 70 minutes of the game and they can keep it tight, whereas Cole Palmer's been able to come on the pitch and express himself when the game's really open. So everyone's saying Cole Palmer should play, but if Cole Palmer was playing, it'd be exact same for Saka. Yeah,
that's the sort of thing I'm saying about even someone like Harry Kane. Even if whether he starts or whether obviously he'll start, but if he after 50 minutes, 60 minutes, and you're struggling a little bit, and he can't get behind them, and he's not really getting a kick, and he's not looking sharp, bring on Watkins.
Exactly.
Do it.
Exactly.
Do it. That's how But anyway, it's going to be a tense afternoon, that's for sure. It's exciting though. It's our big quarter final on BBC, and God, let's hope we can get them through somehow. And I'd take penalties now.
I'm sticking with it.
Yeah,
I think England could do it. It's going to be tough.
Yeah, it's going to be.
But yes.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll see you all on BBC One at 4:00. Kick-off 5:00. It's a biggie. Goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.